Kyle, there is a saying, if a lawyer ever tells you he or she has never lost a case, it's because that lawyer is not trying cases. And it's so true. If you try a lot of cases, there will be some losses. In your world, early on in our podcast today, you talked about the wonderful story, the case that of the little boy with the broken neck, and it turned out so wonderful. Give us an example, as uncomfortable as it may be. Give us an example of a case where perhaps things didn't go so well for the case, the lawyer, the client, and you had to deal with that near the conclusion of the case. Just walk us through what happened, how that happened, and what was the outcome.
Sure. Yeah. You know, the one that comes to mind is we had a case with a family coming down a rural highway, and it was a family of three, and a car coming the other way lost control and hit them head on. They had to be extracted from the car. All of them, you know, had significant traumatic brain injuries, along with other just orthopedic injuries as well. And the premise behind the case was that there was a defect in the steering wheel from the kid driving, and he lost control. And it was the first time I'd ever heard the term death wobble, you know, and so it was a product liability case, and they were alleging that it was a defect in the steering wheel that caused, you know, somebody to lose control, and ultimately, you know, the manufacturer of the car is the responsible party. Again, this isn't your typical, you know, rear ender, you know, and it's indicative of the kind of cases that, you know, hey, look, we're willing to take a chance. So we funded, you know, several $100,000 worth of treatment for all of this, for this family. And this went to a jury trial. And it was in a, you know, it was a relatively conservative venue, but not terribly. And the jury just could not wrap their head around the fact that there's this death wobble that, you know, would have caused it. And furthermore, the brain injury part of it seemed to be very difficult for them to comprehend, because you're looking at, you know, plaintiffs who, for all intents and purposes, they look okay. I mean, the car was crumpled, that it looked horrific, but they didn't have any cuts or broken bones or anything. You're saying, man, it's all in their head. And they just couldn't get past that. And it was a defense verdict. And they really didn't award much of anything. And so we lost a lot of money in that case. But like I said at the outset, you know, that's part of the risk we take. It's unfortunate that it went that way, but we're in the business of dealing with trial lawyers, and they put on their case and they tried it, and it just didn't go their way that day. And so it's part of what happens.